And hello, everybody. I just freaked Barry out there. What was
Fair
going
enough.
on?
That was brief.
That was brief. Yes, I did warn you it was going to be brief. We are going to be looking at GFN Thursdays, and here we go. I forgot to take it off the screen here, but here we go. This is the games coming to GFN this week and onto the month. So we'll start with the games coming this week. So we will everything above Phantom Abyss is coming this week. So pants.
You've realised what you've done, haven't you?
Yes. Necromunda Hargun is coming. Before we leave, Creativefirst, Empire of Angels 4, Hoku Life, Pro Cycling Manager 2021, Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2, The Awakening. I'm just going to go for that. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Warrior or Future Soldier, Tour de France 21, Tour de France 2020, X3 Reunion, and Son Yon Sword, The Gate of Firmament. I think I did not too bad there.
Yeah, you did.
Are coming this week, and we have also got a stack of games coming later in the month. We'll get the other games coming out here, but the ones from today, any of them stick out to you before we go into more detail?
I think probably the one that did stick out was the one that we knew that was going to be coming in June, which was the Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2.
Okay. Yeah, we sort of told everybody about that a couple of weeks ago.
We did indeed.
So how many games is that coming today? You're more prepared than me with this.
It's 38 for the month, 13 today.
13 today.
Yeah.
And there's... I'm all over the show here. And we have a couple which are day and date, which is the Necromunda Hard Gun, Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting good at this. So the rest of the month is pretty packed as well. Not as packed as last month, we will say, but it is still pretty packed. So we've got Phantom Abyss, which we've been talking about for a while now, Starbase, Amid Evil. The one about this is it is coming with RTX on. So we'll be talking more about that when it arrives. We've got Dual Universe. That's another native client, by the way.
It is indeed, yep.
Encased and sci-fi apocalyptic RPG, The Final Station, Guilty Gear Strive, Morbid, The Seven Acolytes, Neptuna, Virtual Stars, Not the Robots, Pathway, Quest Hunter, Roguebook. Oh, I know about that. I'm excited about that. Spirit of the North, Strategic Mind, Spectre of Communism, Strategic Mind, The Pacific, Superland. Oh, it's in early access of Steam and it's coming out from early access. Good to hear, because everybody knows my feelings in early access games. Sword and Fairy, Sword and Fairy 2, Sword and Fairy 3, Sword and Fairy X, Tools Up, Townsmen, A Kingdom Rebuilt, The Universe, Vikings, Wolves of Midgard. Any of them tickle your fancy? I think my one's probably gone now.
Yes, indeed. There's nothing that actually jumps out straight off that page, which in some respects is what I like from a GFN month ahead, because generally when we kind of run through some of these titles, we go and look at them. There's generally titles we've never come across before, and we always find a little bit of a hidden gem. So I am looking forward to as the month goes on and maybe uncovering one or two hidden gems in there.
Okay, and we always say this at the beginning of the month. At this moment in time, what is your rating of this month?
I'm gonna be generous. I'm gonna start middle of the road. I think, and before I give my number, I am gonna say that I think we flew pretty high in May. So to come into this in June, Of course, the only caveat, of course, is E3. So maybe watch this space. But I am going to pitch what we've seen so far for this month at a 5.
I thought you were going to say a 6, and I was going to go a 5. I would be. I'm also at a 5. Just remember, just to give this a little caution. Last month I started at a 7, and it ended at an 8 for me because of the extra games which came. And you started at a 8 and then ended at a
9.
At a 9.
Yep, indeed. For pretty much the same reasons as well. In the fact that the ambition and the way they delivered the sheer number of games that they did, and the fact that they threw in additional games, and of course the surprise in Biomutant as well.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 extra games, if I counted that right, last month from the initial. Let's be completely honest here as well and say a number of games were missed this month or last month, and they're still due to arrive. So again, still ended up more than what was first announced, even if you take away them games. So I think this is a solid... It's solid for me. I use the full range of numbers, which I know people don't really like. If something's really bad, I will give it a 1. If something's really good, I will give it a 10. 5 for me just means middle of the road. It's solid. There's nothing jumping out at me straight away as something. Oh my goodness, this is a really big get. I do like the look of Roguebook, by the way. That's a game right up my alley. But I don't see this as being poor because it's a stack of games. And as you've already said, with E3's shadow getting ever and ever closer, could we see some announcements coming out there with GFN logos? And that's how we discovered that Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2 was coming, because it had a GFN logo. Maybe we're going to see some of these actually come out during E3 time with all these conferences coming up. Again, I don't think this is a bad month. I don't think it's a good month. And it just from the early looks here, it is a complete mix of games. Before we do our normal thing, I'm going to go dive deep into each of the games. And that was the wrong one. I hate that one. It is... I think we have to be honest here and say there are games leaving GFN this month, and these games are Wolfenstein Youngblood and Quake.
Quake 2, I think it was.
Yes, this is disappointing news that they are leaving, but I think if you look into it, you can understand why they're leaving. Who owns these? It is Bethesda. Who owns Bethesda now?
Microsoft.
So I think I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to work out what is going on there, that they are going to be just getting pulled. And I think their contract time was up. So these are the first games which have left probably in months now. If you actually just stand back and look at it, you'll go, yeah, completely. I can see why it's disappointing that it is happening, but you can probably see it. When other games leave, or if other games leave, I think it's going to be a bit more of a talking point. So if there's, just going to pull one of these games out, say this, I'm not going to say that name, Empire of Angels 4 leaves after a couple of months. I think that is going to be a big, more sort of a talking point rather than these Microsoft-owned games, because of their strategies with xCloud, because they've already came out and said that they're going to be bringing PC games to xCloud eventually. That's their long-term goal as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a totally logical, strategic move. You can see why why the move is being made. And I think probably you'll also get some people in there that will probably say, actually, do you know what? It's Wolfenstein Youngblood. That's fine. It can leave the service. It wasn't the best installment in the franchise anyway. And then obviously Quake 2, it's it's a title that's certainly got a following. So it could be something that you'd be disappointed by, and maybe more so with that than potentially the Youngblood Wolfenstein title. Duncan's nodding.
Yes, I'm nodding because I was trying to set up the next part here. I'm a wee bit slow here. Don't think that surprises anybody. But again, Youngblood has had a complete and utterly mixed reception. For me, I did not like the game at all, and it is one of the very, very, very few games that I have refunded. I think that's my last game I actually refunded. I just did not like it. I don't think I'm the only one who didn't like it. I think it's something you will either jump into or not, but it's not. Again, it is really, really disappointing that these games are leaving, but they're not unexpected, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much to really say about it.
No, I don't think so. It's kind of, as much as it is right for us to kind of highlight it and make sure that people are aware that those games are leaving, just so they're aware. It's kind of equally almost, it's kind of a cursory thing just to let people know. It's not necessarily an unexpected shock, horror. Oh, these two Bethesda games are leaving the service.
Yeah, and we will move on to the games here. This is what I like about GFN at this moment in time. This isn't a day and date release. This is a near day and date release, and I do not mind that at all. It is a game for me. We can see that straight away. It is it's a buildy game, which I do like, and it is in the GFN price point straight away.
Absolutely banging. That's a good little price point, and certainly the trailer you've got going on in the background kind of makes it look particularly interesting as well. So obviously, city builders aren't necessarily kind of my thing. I think, as I've said before on previous ones, maybe when I was a little bit younger, I used to kind of cover them off, but not necessarily something that fits into my library at the moment.
Yep. We were just talking about something like that as well. Check out another video. People's gaming habits and choices change as they get older or mature, or whatever way you want to word it. I used to be really into one genre. Now I've moved into another genre, and it just continues and to change all the time. With this, definitely up my alley here. I think it's a real good price point. And I like the word relax here, because that means it might be just build it up without having to worry about people. Look, it's similar to the game which is coming along.
Yes, indeed.
So this is, just realized why it's Team 17. So maybe they're starting to really go for a bit of a push here. Rex and thing, 115 hours. So I think it's a game you're either going to really love, and you're just going to just get taken away with it to chill out.
Yeah, it certainly looks like one of those, doesn't it? Once you kind of get into it, you will sort of you'll be just kicking back, relaxing, and kind of working your way through it and enjoying.
Well, I'm not sure if we're touching this or not, but it's got a Metacritic of 71, but it's got mostly positive reviews. Metacritic matters a wee bit, but it's not the be end and end all, as over the last couple of weeks has sort of shown us with Biomutant. Biomutant seems to have had a absolutely horrible time out there, and it has been getting slated by many, many people. But there's other people, not just yourself, who has been saying this is my favorite game of the year so far, and that's including big games like Resident Evil. So yeah. Metacritic can be used as a guide, but it shouldn't be just your only guide.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I kind of tend to look at Metacritic for it's a little bit of a gauge, just to kind of look and see sort of a rough ballpark, and then tend to kind of then go and look at some of the user experience and that sort of thing as well, because I sometimes find that the actual, rather than the one type of Metacritic score where you kind of then look at the user input, the user input, so it's in some cases is more meaningful for me because they're they're gamers like you and me.
Yeah, again, for me, this looks pretty good. We've seen a bit of the reviews there as well, and they seem to be pretty good there as well. So this could be just another case of Metacritic being Metacritic.
Quite.
We'll move on to the next game, and it is Creativefirst. It's a it is Minecrafty, like I will say.
Yes.
I guess what it is. It's another free-to-play game.
Aha! Excellent.
So there must be, if we're not at 100 plus free-to-play games, I think we're not kick off the butt off it now, because there just seems to be just so many of them.
Yeah, I think they're coming up around the 90 point at the minute, aren't they? Potentially.
Yeah. But another free-to-play game, it seems to be relatively popular. Nearly 30,000 reviews, very positive and mostly positive recent ones. So I think it's a game where people actually are enjoying. Obviously, there's extensions. It's being continually worked on. Okay, it's made by the people made by Super Lucky's Tale. That's where I was going, where did that come from? So I think this is maybe just a game for you can give it a wee go.
Yeah, I think it is. I think with all free to plays that they're worth jumping in, and again we've said this time and time again in the past when it comes to demos, free to plays, and the power of the cloud, it makes it so easy to just literally fire up the app and go bang, I'm going to jump into that. And you can kind of be into the game within a matter of seconds, and kind of trying it out for yourself and seeing whether it's something that's up your street or not.
Yeah. I forgot to do our normal thing, but I will continue with our next game. You can just jump into that straight away. This one has got a mixed reception. Oh, I'm just a bit worried after last week.
Yes, indeed.
It's a strategy.
Let's see what the trailer shows us. I always like to try and kind of
off our flip's sake
capture a little bit of the trailer. There we go. I mean, it's in the price point wise, £10 point. It's in that little kind of little window. I think it definitely
not a game for me.
It's not one for me either, but it's it is going to attract a very niche audience. And at that price,
I don't have a problem with that price point, but what does the review say?
Got some recommends 7 hours, 4 hours, and you've got all 48 and a half, and then you've got a few that are either refunded or dropped.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a game for you to check out yourselves to be. I'm not convinced on it.
No.
Again, I have no problem with more games you bring. You're more likely you're going to have people wanting to play them. Blah 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 blah. We're back on to this Team 17 game, which we just seen a couple of seconds ago, and this is a day and date release.
Excellent.
And it's got mixed reviews to start off with. It reminds me, it's an early access game, so that when you know what that means to me.
Is this the one that's leaving early access in June?
No, I think this has just been released today.
Oh, okay.
And obviously, I think we know what it looks like. Animal Crossing.
Yes.
Oh, you're thinking, what does this look like? What am I talking about?
I was trying to think, which one is he going for? Which one is he what route is he going down? But yes, now that you've said that, I can see exactly what you mean.
What were you thinking it looks like?
You're probably better moving on, because I literally, the title of what was in my head, I can't think of. So,
no worries. This is an early access. I have my feelings in early access, but this is made by Team 17, so they are relatively well-known publisher, and it is at that GFN price point of $15.99. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. Oh, that doesn't worry for GFN. Early access updates. Farming is coming in July. I think this could be a game. I think this is a class game to actually get, even though with mixed reviews. I think this could get a lot of people interested.
I think it could. It's certainly going to attract a particular type of a particular audience, isn't it? And you kind of, I think it's. I can definitely see it being a good get for them.
Also, this is going back to sort of what we've been talking about, the demographics. That wouldn't be, I wouldn't call this game for a typical sort of PC gamer. This is a bit more mainstream sort of game, and could get people actually interested to come into GFM.
Yeah.
It looks like there's plenty of bugs in it, so just be warned. And it's like a cross between Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley. Was it Stardew Valley you were thinking of?
No, it wasn't that one either. I don't know what it was. It's my mind is blank. I don't know what's going on.
But I think there's some bugs here, so because it's early access, that is to be expected. But at £15, so $20 mark, I think this might not be a bad one to pick it up if you wanted some Animal Crossing type fun and you don't have a Switch.
Yep, no, I think so. I think that would certainly be the one that we'd probably put on that one to watch list, and kind of see how it fares, see how it updates, develops, and all that sort of good stuff.
Yeah, and I was an absolute moonbeam, and someone just reminded me. We forgot about the big games of the week, so we'll go into the big games of the week. Hard Gun, I can tell you straight away, seems to be getting absolutely mixed reviews, and that is not even talking about this on Steam. I'm talking about out there in the Twitter sphere as well. From what I have seen, I think it just needs a little more time in the oven just to tidy things up. Is that what you're, or if you?
Yeah, I would agree with that, because the trailer in itself looks interesting. It looks like a kind of game that you could get on board with. But likewise, I do feel like it maybe just needed an extra little bit of time, possibly from what people are saying, to kind of get rid of some bugs, just have an extra little bit of polish, so that when it does come, it's a pretty supreme title.
Yeah, it's a good price point, I think. I don't mind the mid-range sort of games, £30 mark. Again, I would just give a lot of caution at this moment in time with this title. It's not even for the price. It is just, I think it just needs a round of bug fixes, and I think we'll probably see some of that in the reviews as well. Loads of bugs. I think there's the guts of a good game here. I think it just needs another, just a bit of time and the first patch or two.
That's not a. When you put that in a kind of a thought process of the type of game, an indie Doom Eternal plus Titanfall, Warhammer edition. That's not a bad mix, is it?
It's not. I think it just needs a wee bit of more time. So maybe just hold fire in this one would be my advice there. But I think it could end up being a real good get going forward.
Yes, absolutely. It could just get some of those bugs and stuff and updates rolled out, patched, and I think that it as a game, it could be something that's in a much better place.
Okay, we'll move on to the next big game, which is, again, that's a day and date release on GFM last game. This is another day and date release. It is not out until Friday, and it's Sniper Ghost Warriors Contracts 2. This game looks pretty cool. It's £35 or £45 or full price to get the Super Duper edition. I don't think this one looks bad at all, and it's a relatively good get, I think, for a day-and-date game.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like it's going to have a, from certainly looking at the blurb, the single player campaign could be something that will draw you in. And I kind of visually, that game, if you look at the surroundings there, it does look like it's really well made, pretty polished. And that price point surprises me, actually. I didn't think it would be at that midpoint, around the £35. I thought it might have been slightly higher. So that's quite pleasing to see, because that's, as I say, that's one that stood out of the list for me.
Yeah, it's in that nice wee sort of tempting sort of price range.
Yeah.
And lovely slow down kills of people's heads getting completely and utterly decapitated then. It's not too bad, that one. We'll move. Oh, I've done that one, and I've done that one. So I'm just making sure I haven't left any out here. And we will move on to
Get on your bike.
Get on your bike time. And Pro Cycling Manager 2021. And guess what this is?
Day and date.
It's another day and date release. And management game for bikes. I didn't even think that would be a thing.
No, I didn't. I mean, I've kind of seen sort of motorsport managers and that sort of stuff. I mean, I guess it's logical. These things have to be managed by people, and there's enough. I think the cycling community is quite a big following. So if you kind of amalgamate the cycling and gaming and all that sort of stuff into one, then there's certainly going to be an audience for it, or at least you'd hope so anyway, given the fact that they've made it.
Yeah, I think there is. Let me see if yes, I think this is going to be the same here. Or we'll move on to the cycling games. I wonder if it's by the same company, and then they're reusing the assets, which I have zero problem with if you're just using the other ones. But we'll see if that comes to it. The next one is the Awakening. It is £15. This is an older game. I think I've heard of this. Do I have it? I do not have it.
Very positive reviews.
Yeah. And it is a strategy RPG, turn-based survival fantasy. I think the first. Sorry, it's another PC sort of, definitely a PC sort of game.
Yes, I think it is. I think the kind of, again, what we're seeing is a little bit of that balance of kind of being in that territory of kind of the PC game and kind of the console and attracting the different audiences. So this is one of those titles that fits into the PC bracket.
Yep, indeed. So pretty positive. £15. I would say whip for sale for that one, just being it's an older game.
Oh, have you seen the similar games? That'll please you.
Yeah, we're not looking at that. We're not looking at that. I do not want to get drawn back into that. I'm going to tell you now, across all my different accounts and platforms, I've got 2 accounts in Steam. I may have said this before. I think I'm well over $1,000. I'm talking way over $1,000 of playtime on Slay of Spire. I know it says $115. That's just rookie numbers, that is. So I can tell you now, it's absolutely. I've heard it a ton.
It doesn't surprise me. I think you've got it on every platform going.
I do. My favorite game over the last number of years is Slay the Spire. Just the amount of playtime I've done it. It's roguelike. This is the beauty of roguelikes, because you can just keep going back, and every time it is different.
Yep.
But this game here, I think maybe just wait for a sale. And this one more just because of the age. But £15 isn't a bad sort of price for $20 mark.
Yep, I'd agree with that. I think we can move on to the next.
Yep, move on. I have to get the right click here. I'm trying to do this when you were talking.
I was putting you under pressure there because I had nothing to say about Fear the Awakening.
Yes. Ghost Recon Future Soldier. I think this is just expanding out Ubisoft Connect. It is an older sort of game. It is priced at this moment in time. It's on sale at $6.25. Did that actually show up there, or were you looking?
No, it did. It did show up on the screen. Yeah.
Cool. $6.25. And I just realized something. I've got all my tabs open here. I was meant to be just the one thing. So I think people have played this before, and people do sort of like this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love the Tom Clancy series, and Ghost Recon Future Soldier is no exception. I really enjoyed the installment. And also, it's worth adding in that Neil Newborn, who we spoke to a few months ago and did an interview with, this was the game that he first had his break with.
Okay, and I think we'll put a link to that tomorrow, so you can check that out below. We'll move on to the next one, which is Tour de France 2021. It is the same company, so you're see. I'm always thinking so, and it does look exactly the same.
Yeah, it does.
So they're just reusing this. It's another day and date release. Because they're bringing 2020 as well, I think this is them dipping their toe in with GFN, and not just dipping their toe in, they're actually going full hog here and just trying to get more titles.
Yes, indeed. And it's worth noticing there, as per the notice on your screen, Tour de France 2021 requires a controller in order to play. Playing with a keyboard and mouse is not supported.
I'm going to say something. I wouldn't actually mind giving this a go.
I never expected you to say that, but I you know what? There's a lot of have you ever played a cycling game in the past?
Nope.
There's more to kind of think about than you kind of imagine, because obviously, just as if you're on a bike yourself, you can't just go flat out nailing it. You've got to think about pace, kind of, your breathing and all that sort of stuff, and hills and all these different gears, ratios, and these sorts of things that, to be put into consideration. So
I'll make my joke now. Do you have to stop off and get your drug top-ups and stuff like that?
Pass. I don't know the answer to that one. That's not my forte.
No. Someone had to make that bad joke, and I would have to do it. But yeah, good to see more sports titles, and it's really good to actually see, I can't say Recon coming on board. That means this Recon conference, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, we may need to cover that.
We may well do. At this rate, there could be more things to be arriving on the platform, if this is anything to go by.
Yeah, this could be one of the reasons why it looks maybe a wee bit lighter for GFN. This lighter again. I'll come to this at the end. We'll come back to that at the end. So this is 2020. It looks basically exactly the same, and it is £35. So you're talking full price. It's probably going to get reduced tomorrow. But I think it's good that it's coming, so people can actually play it, the old version, if they've got it in their library.
Yes, absolutely. That's the thing, I think, is if people have got it in the library already, then they've got the ability to jump straight in on GFN with it without a problem.
Yeah, it's got 65 positive reviews. So I don't think it is a big, massive sort of game there. But I might try and actually see if we can get a copy of this to see if we can give this a try. There's Roguebook. But very, very interesting. I think I have no problem with annual sports series. This is what happens. It just comes in. It doesn't look much different, but they update bits and bobs behind the scenes. But if you actually go back to, usually in these sports titles, if you go back 2 or 3 years and start playing it again, you'll notice there's actually subtle differences which have just added up over the time. Or have you noticed that?
Yeah, I was just going to say that actually. Often, once you've played the new one, and then if you go back and kind of experience one of the previous ones, you kind of actually, it does almost stand out like a sore thumb. Maybe what the improvements were, you just didn't realise.
Yeah, it's just lots of wee subtle things normally with these things, and they just add up time after time after time. That's the same with FIFA. It's the same with Madden. It was the same with PES as well, but that's going to be completely different this year. We're moving to a new engine. But I'm interested in this, so I might try and see if we can get the new one for someone to maybe have a look at. I don't just to see.
See, there's all your circles. Look, next to your speed, got all your different color symbols and things to think about.
Yeah, again, I might try and give that a wee go. I'm interested in it. I do like sports titles. Next one is an old-ish, or there's an old game. My God, 2005, saying it's old. It really does get to you. 16 years.
It's scary, isn't it, really? Let's be honest.
2005 is 16. It's just mad, isn't it? It really, really dates you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Tenner, I would say whip for sale. I'm pretty sure I've seen this for a couple of pounds in different places. It's a strategy game. I think people probably know this. I think this is a good library filler for GFN.
Yep, I would agree with that. It looks, but I think that's exactly what you have to say with it. It's kind of adding into the back catalogue for people, and again, it may well be because it's a slightly older title. It may be something that you've actually got in your Steam collection, and you think, do you know what? I want to go back and revisit it and experience it, but I don't want to take up the hard drive space, so I'll just fire it up on GFN.
Okay, and we'll move to the last one here, and it is, you can say that for me.
Huan Sword, the Gate of Firmament.
No problem with this coming as well. It's got mostly positive reviews. It's an RPG. I think I wasn't shocked about this being an RPG.
No.
Again, I think if you want it, you'll get it because RPGs or JRPGs or people just absolutely adore them. And when we get down here, it's going to be like scary sort of numbers, isn't it?
I would have thought so, yes.
128 hours.
Do you know what's impressed me about this week's one? We've gone through the reviews and we've not had the obligatory 128 hours. I wouldn't recommend it.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. We found one.
It wasn't 100, but it's 72 hours. Oh dear. But I think if people want RPGs, you're going to have plenty of options there.
Yep, I think so, definitely.
Just before we go, I think we'll have a little quick talk. A very, 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 very quick talk. We sort of touched this at the beginning. Do you think GFN have set themselves up, not for failure is the wrong word, for disappointing people with the amount of games that they're going to be bringing? Because of the last number of months, and especially last month with the 60, it just feels like it's a come down this month without a big, massive standout title.
I think it does, and I think if you solely look at it from what we know about June right now to what we obviously had in May, absolutely, there does feel like there's a bit of a step down from month to month. I think what will be interesting is when we get 2 or 3 months down the road and we can maybe start to gather a little bit more data and see whether there's kind of some trends into the way that the kind of the peaks and troughs with their numbers that they add into the library, because we kind of started with a year relatively consistent, and it's been very, very consistent, and then we've kind of gone up big numbers. Now we've dipped a little, and here we are. We're kind of sitting here saying 38. Well, it's a bit of a middle of the road month. We kind of thought maybe we were going to get a little bit more, but I think what you might find is if there's some E3 surprises in there, perfect, great. That's exactly what we want to see. But then when you then kind of look at July, then maybe August, I think when you get a few months in, you might get a feel for kind of how the games are rolling out. But there's no shortage of games that they can bring to the platform. It's just about how they do it, how they roll it out, and kind of at what phase. Because I think, if we're honest, there's only so many games you can consume at once anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Are we being probably harsh, given we both gave them a 5 for this month? That is because we're judging it with GFN standards. That's basically it. Any other platform dropping this many games in a month would be an absolutely massive month. When we're talking platforms, we're talking cloud platforms, obviously. If 33 games coming this month, at least 33 games, it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's just hard to actually contemplate how many games that is. It's just it doesn't sound. We're saying, "Oh, this is a bad month. There's 33 games coming," and it's not actually that much of a bad month. Because even this today, going through what games are coming this week, there's some cracking games there, and we're just feeling a bit there. I think we just need to be careful that we are not underselling GFN for what it is. And I think I need to be careful, and I think other people need to be careful with that as well. But the more games you get, it is the easier it is to sell your product to people, because there's always games that people want. Like even this last game we were talking about, the Gate of Firmament. I'm not going to say the first bit again. There's going to be people who are dying to play that game, because it's on GFN now. It's going to. I can play that there now, and then they're going to see all these other games which have been brought. It's just ridiculous. This week, I think, just reflecting on it, I don't think it's actually that much of a bad week, actually going through all them games. There was the sniper game. There was them strategy games I want to play. You've got a game like flipping Animal Crossing in the middle of it. There's just such a breadth of games, and there is something there for everybody again this week.
Yeah, there is. They've got that balance really well settled, I think, for kind of bringing, a good variety that will kind of tick multiple people's boxes, which is really good, really pleasing to see.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to probably end up. GFN have just set the bar for themselves so high, and I think that is the issue they have at this moment in time. And that's not a bad issue to actually have, by setting the bar so high. I'm hopeful that we're going to hear some more games coming during the month, even if they're not going to come out this month. I think touchwood, we're going to maybe hear that some of these big games over the next couple of weeks, which are getting announced, are coming to GFN day and date. And we will have a much firmer look into the future of GFN, because this could turn out to be an absolutely amazing month for them, just like last month.
Absolutely, it could. It can turn on its head, in an instant. And as I say, yes, we've pitched it middle of the road, but I think there's opportunity there for it to kind of. They've always got surprises. We always get more games than they tell us at the start of the month. So I think, like you said, even if they're not games that drop in June, even if they drop slightly later, maybe July, later in the summer, or even into the fall, then it's a win all round, because it means that you can experience those games in the cloud. And some of these games that you'll be able to experience, like we've talked about earlier, you'll be able to experience them with RTX. Which, unless you've got an extremely well-powered machine, you're not going to get that level of experience kind of really anywhere else other than on GFN.
Yeah, I think GFN are in a real great position here. And this just, even though we're disappointed, this month is actually just reinforcing it. They just keep on bringing the games after games after game. So this should be, by my rough calculations, over 100 games over the last 2 months.
Yes. Easily.
Yeah. And that's not including any Brucey bonuses we're going to get.
No.
So GFN are in a real great position, and they're continuing to push, they're continuing to update, they're continuing to listen to people, they're just making the right strides, and I think they're in a real great place.
Yeah, they are. And I think that's the other thing that's worth, when you talk about kind of making strides and listening to people, I think that's the other thing that's worth mentioning is kind of their engagement, is with people like ourselves who are obviously kind of covering the news or kind of covering the games, or content creators in general. Their engagement and interaction is really strong and really positive.
Yeah. So we may sound a bit disappointed, but GFN are in a real great spot at this moment in time. But I think we will leave that there. Is there anything you want to say before I hit the button?
No, I'm good. We've covered it. Thank you very much.
Okay, we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.